Welcome back. Today is day 1 of our Intro to Circles unit. Today's lesson is short and sweet. We will be going over the vocab needed for this unit. If you would like to follow along, a link to the handout is provided in the description below. Thank you and enjoy. Got some definitions here we need to go over. So the first one is center. Let's read a definition here. Set of all points in a plane. Set of all points, all right, that are equal distance from a given point. Let's kind of sketch that out first. So all points in a plane equal distance. Equal distance just means the same distance from a given point. So let's call this given point, I don't know, that one right there. All right, now we need all the points that are going to be the same distance away from that. So if I take a point like right here, and I start taking points that are the same distance away from that, I'll get something that looks like this. But eventually, you should end up making a figure, which is a circle. So a circle, the definition is all points in a plane, equal distance from a point. And what we call this point, it's called the center. So the center for this point is going to be right here. So let's highlight that real quick. Let's write that in. So this point right here, this is called the center. All right. And we would just call that. A lot of times when we name circles, we're going to name them like this. We're going to go circle A. Okay, so that's what we do. We do a circle with a little center in the inside right here, so we have a circle and then circle A. All right, not too bad. Now a radius, a segment from the point on the circle to the center. So it's a segment, so we know it has to be a segment, so that's key. From a point on the circle, so there's a point on the circle, so it has to be a point on the circle, and then back to the center again. All right, so that's what we're looking for, a segment that connects a point on the circle to the center. So let's draw this one out. So here's my circle. Let's call this circle A. We can call it any circle you want. Let's call it circle A. All right, perfect. And now remember, we need to connect a point on the circle. So pick a point, any point you want on the circle. So I'll pick this point right here. And we're going to connect a segment to the center. So let's connect like this. So this would be a radius. And there's a whole bunch of radii that you can draw in also. But let's give this a name. Sorry, that can't be A. There's already A there. So we're going to call this, this is a radius, so we're going to call it, but it's segment AB. And notice how the segment symbol looks like what it is. It has an ending point. There's an ending point here, and there's an ending point here. So there's two endpoints. All right. So that's going to be the answer for that one. So that's a radius. All right, let's draw a chord. Well, again, these are all dealing with circles. So let me just go ahead and sketch my chords in here. So this is a circle A again. And this one, it says this time it's a segment again. Oh, nice. It's a segment with the endpoint, with each endpoint. Oh, this time is different. Each endpoint on the circle. All right, so this time when we connect these across, we're going to have an endpoint on one side of the circle and another endpoint somewhere else on the circle. So the endpoints this time are going to be on the circle. So we can draw a chord like this one right there. So I'm going to name those. I need some letters for those. So there's a point here and there's a point there. Let's call this B and this C. All right, so that would be segment BC. All right, not too bad. And the last one, let's go ahead and read through this one. So again, a chord. Oh, it's a chord. A diameter is a chord, so it's going to be exactly what it is before. But this time, the key is it passes through the center of the circle. So this is important this time. So this time it has to pass through the center of the circle. So you're drawing a chord again. So let's draw a circle. Here's my center of the circle. And let's draw a chord this time that passes through the center of the circle. I'm going to try this color, see how I like it. So something that looks like this. And let's label this. Sorry, that's not a perfect straight line, but let's call this, I don't know, let's call it D and E. You can name it whatever you like, but that would be segment DE. All right, perfect. So those are 3 common words we're going to use a lot in here. And again, I like this because these are all segments. Look at that. A radius is a segment, a chord is a segment, and so is a diameter. They're all segments. All right. All right, this time it says we have 2 more words. We have a secant and a tangent. So let's see what those are. Again, key word right here, it's a line. So again, whatever we're drawing, it should be a line. All right, so again, let's draw my circle here. So this is circle A. We can call it any circle you want, but let's call it circle A. I'm going to just draw the next circle in too to go a little quicker. So this is circle A. Perfect. All right, so we have 2 circles, and the first one says a secant is a line that intersects a circle at exactly 2 points, which means we need to draw a line in here. And remember what we learned the other day, a line goes on forever, so these lines better have arrows on it. So that's a secant. And again, you can draw as many as you want. There's infinite many of those. And let's give it 2 points, because whatever we have intersections, we usually label it points. Let's call this one, let's go with F, and how about G and F? We haven't used those yet, so G and F. So now remember on the notation for this, because this is a secant and it's a line, let me just, intersects at exactly 2 points. That's key. Okay, so it's exactly 2 points for this one. All right, and the name of that, since it's a line, we better use the symbol for line. So a line above the 2 letters F and G. Perfect. All right, and let's do the last one. A tangent. And again, what do we see? It's a line again, so we better be drawing a line. And it can, as we start going on to the higher and higher math, as we start doing more and more, it doesn't always have to be just a line. But for example, now it's a line and it intersects, so it's going to intersect a circle at exactly 1 point. So now think about that. How do you draw a line that only touches this circle once? It only hits it one time. It can't pass through twice like the secant. All right, hopefully you see it. Let me change colors for this one too, because I'm going to try to draw. I'm going to try to do a good job and make it touch once exactly right there. There we go. Perfect. So this one, it touched right here at this point right here. All right, and let's call that point. Let's call that point. How about just B? Perfect. Now, if I want to name this, tangent, then I need another point. So I'm going to need another point, and there's no other points on the circle, so I'm going to have to put another point in a random place. How about right here? So let's call this C. All right, so now I can name this. The tangent for this problem is, it's a line, so put a line, and we're going to call it BC or CB, either way. All right, perfect. Now I'm just going to add one more thing. Just add this in your notes right here. Point B is the point of tangent C. They ask you, sometimes they ask you, just a little note for you, okay? So I'm just going to write that down. Just a little note for you. Hey, we should also know that this point B on the graph right here, the place where the line intersects the circle only one time is called the point of tangency, because this is a point and it's tangent, so pretty obvious. All right, so this little section is about angles and arcs. All right, I'm just going to review angles again because a lot of people forget all the time what they are. So let's draw an angle. Here's an angle. Perfect. And I want to label one key point that we need to know. This point, the corner of the angle, so that's an angle right there. Let me just write that in. This is an angle. I should have used a different color. Sorry. So this is an angle. Perfect. But that point that we're talking about right there, the corner of this angle, that's called the vertex. Okay, so we need to know that. That's called the vertex of the angle. So when you read these, you're going to be like, okay, this is what they're talking about. So central angle. So what's a central angle? So 2 key ideas here. Again, we're still talking about circles. So you notice there's a lot of vocab about circles that we need to mention. Let's start naming them different. This is circle B. This is circle C. That one's not a good circle. All right, that looks like an oval. All right, but let's go on. So a central angle. What's a central angle? An angle whose vertex, oh, I'm glad we went over that real quick. Vertex is at the center of the circle. Oh, so let me draw an angle. So how about I draw an angle like this? And all we have to do is make sure the vertex or the corner of this angle is right there at the center. So that right there is a central angle. And let's name this again because, again, remember, let's go R and S, okay? Let's name this central angle. So the name of this central angle, I would call it angle RAS. And you could do it backwards also, SAR. But I just want you to practice. Remember, we did this already. We started naming angles. All right, so that's a central angle. Where's the vertex? At the center. What about the next one? And the key right here was the vertex is at the center. That's the key. Vertex is at the center. All right, what about the inscribed angle? This time it's an angle whose vertex is where? It's not, can't be at the center. We already have one of those. Is on the circle. So key here, the key difference here is going to be this part. On the circle and at the center. Okay, so that's the difference. So on this one, when you draw your angle, this time make sure the vertex is going to be right here on the circle. So that's the difference between these two. And let's give it whole different names. How about M, N, and O? All right, so you can name it whatever you like again, but angle M, N, and O. That would be an inscribed angle. All right, not too bad. And the last part. What is an arc? Any unbroken part of the circumference of a circle. So circumference, what the heck is that? Circumference is just the whole thing all the way around. So this would be the circumference. So this is the circumference of the circle, distance around the circle. All right, but we're not looking for that. What do we want? We want any unbroken part, any unbroken part. So what we're looking for in this problem, I'm going to just put it like a point here, and I'm going to color it in. I usually, when I start doing my math problems, I usually have two colors, and I'd be like, this little piece here. So this little piece, and I put endpoints also. So we'll put endpoints there, and we'll call this one A and B. All right, so what we should know is, well, this is an arc. So look at the symbols. Angles, we put an angle in front of it, something that looks like an angle. For lines, we put lines above them. So how do we name arcs? Guess what? You just draw a little arc, and you use two letters. And we'll make this final in in next lesson. But again, just want to give you a brief understanding. So that's what an arc is. And it's really important that you know your symbols. So arcs look like arcs. Angles look like angles. Lines look like lines, and so forth. All right.